Hello, and thank you for making it to another episode of The Money Exchange. If you aren't following, make sure wherever you're listening to this, be sure to follow. And if you are watching us on YouTube, thank you for being here with It's My Money with Patrina Dixon. If you haven't subscribed, go down to those red subscribe letters and make sure that you do that so you'll know when every episode is released. So I am Patrina Dixon, your It's My Money lady. I talk everything personal finance and entrepreneurship. I would love for you to subscribe so that, again, you can get every episode that is released. I can be found at itsmymoney.info. And with me here today, I have Dr. Jackson. What's up, Dr. Jackson?
Hello. How are you today?
I am well. So y'all, Dr. Jackson and I met through a group for which we both received a grant for our business. And Dr. Jackson is going to talk a little bit about how that grant helped sustain her business. And she's going to tell you a little bit about her business. Go ahead, Dr. Jackson. Let them know what you do.
Good morning. My name is, again, Dr. Aeshia Jackson. I am the president and therapist of Creative Concepts Therapeutic Services, an agency which provides mental health for infant toddlers from the ages of 0 to 3. We provide in-home therapy in regard to speech therapy, a little physical therapy, and I specialize in behavioral play therapy. As she had previously stated, we were in a group and we both won the PayPal grant. Was it 2020, I believe?
Yes.
2020. Yeah.
And that was out of, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. That was out of a ton of people.
Yes.
Filled out an application for that grant. And we were two of a very few that got it. So, kudos to both of us.
Yes.
For, winning that through PayPal and AEO. So go ahead, Dr. Jackson.
During that big thing that happened in 2020, as I stated before, I do in-home therapy. Our services were halted. I've served counties in North Carolina, and all of my services are provided in-home, daycares, preschools, and community settings. So when that occurred, it was nothing on the books that said, what do we do in a crisis? That stops in-home services, and how do we provide services? Because I serve children with autism, and an interruption in their routine is destructive. Yeah. So we had to wait a couple of months before the state decided, we're going to grant you guys a temporary teletherapy service. We had to wait for the Medicaid codes to come down. We had to wait for the structure, how they were going to pay us and how we were to provide services, because, we have the HIPAA laws that we have to be in regard with as well. At the time, we had to freestyle it. We were doing FaceTime on iPhones. We were doing Facebook Messenger, because we had some families that didn't have internet access. So it was a whole different caveat of things that no one knew about until this happened. We didn't know that we had families in areas that had no internet service.
Wow, that's amazing. So I wanted, because you and I both know what teletherapy means. I want you to explain to the group what teletherapy is. But before you do that, I want to make sure you all, if you didn't hear at the beginning, let me state this here. We met through being a group of people that received a grant. Guys, grants are money or are monies that you get from companies that want to support small businesses, maybe certain categories if you're this type of business or that type of business or whatever it is. But the most important part about grants, you don't have to pay it back. Like, you do have to meet certain criteria, right? Eligibility, whatever those are. The companies that offer the grant money tell you what that is upfront. So when you're applying, you want to make sure that you meet that, make sure you complete the application and meet the deadlines. But the money's out there. The money's out there. If you're interested in more grant information, make sure you drop down and get on the It's My Money newsletter, because I send out grant information with every newsletter that drops. So with that, Dr. Jackson, tell them what teletherapy is.
Teletherapy is providing therapeutic approaches via what we're doing now, Zoom, FaceTime. Let's do you don't have to be in person. You can be online. It's a truly online service. And I don't know if anybody has been paying attention, but the past 2 years since this has happened, you see more services that are teletherapy approach, social media approach. You got Better Health. You have all these other online formats that have been created in the last 2 years so people can have better access to mental health, because what we didn't realize is that we had so many consumers that did not have access to mental health care in their communities. Yep. So teletherapy has opened up a whole whole new caveat where people can get therapy from their comfort of their home.
Yeah. And you know, the other thing that I'm sure it finds is people being able to keep their appointments. So even though you work from home, you may have conference calls that run over, but yet you don't have to like get in the car and drive maybe through traffic to get to an appointment. You could just, you know, bring up your computer and make that visit happen.
Yes. And then, you know, and then it depends on the clientele that you serve. If you're in a if you're serving lower income clientele, sometimes it was a choice whether do I drive to this appointment? Gas prices are high. Do I get
wait, stop, Dr. Jackson. Gas prices are not high. Gas prices are out of control. You know, it's so funny. I'm not sure when you'll listen to this, those that are listening, but when I stopped for gas yesterday, the per gallon was I live in Connecticut, and the per gallon was $5.69. That is up from $3.89. So it's been incrementally going up. It came down for a little bit, but it's back up again. So anyway, I had to say that because it's not just high, it's out of control right now.
It is.
Completely out of control.
So with everything else we got going on, increase in food prices,
exactly,
everything, inflation. Yes. So people know they need mental health. They need these services, but when you have to choose what you're going to do, am I going to put gas in my car or drive to therapy? What do you think is going to win?
Exactly.
If I have to feed my children versus go to therapy, what do you think is going to win? So I think the unique thing about teletherapy is it gives people a little choice and a little bit more convenience. It helps out financially. If I can click on my iPhone and log into my therapist and say, hey, can we have a 30-minute session today? It makes a big difference.
It makes a huge difference. Mm-hmm. And that's, you talk about all of those things. So I'd be remiss if I didn't say that's why budgeting is really important.
Yes.
So if you want a free budget sheet, again, drop down in my the show notes there and grab your free budget sheet, because that definitely helps you. And it helps with the anxiety. So I know that Dr. Jackson is a therapist for 0 to 3, but 0 to 3s have parents, right? So parents need to understand, how they can fit in what we're talking about, the convenience, the time, and, the payment of whatever it is that they need to pay for the service, whatever the portion that they have to pay for the service. So Dr. Jackson, let's get into that. So entrepreneurs, right? You service 0 to 3.
Right.
But you and I know that entrepreneurs, such as ourselves, they are not usually great at self-care, getting their own mental health care, getting their own mental health service. Talk a little bit about what you've seen, in working through the last couple years, receiving the grant money, but still seeing, I guess, the parents of these children and how some of them who are also entrepreneurs, what tips do you give to them or want to share here about entrepreneurs being sure that to take care of themselves as well?
It was an eye-opener for me. I had a bit of an eye-opener prior to 2020. I've been self-employed since 2010, full-time self-employed.
Yay!
Yes. And I was due to an unexpected layoff. And I'm a single mom. And it happened a month after I took my oldest daughter to college. I took her to college in August, and exactly a month to the day, I was laid off. Wow. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, Mom, do I need to come home? I'm like, no, you stay there. We're going to work it out. Uh-huh. And, God worked it out and everything fell into place. But several years into entrepreneurship, I had an unexpected illness. I had a brain tumor.
Oh, geez.
I had a brain tumor. I had a tumor on my pituitary gland that was in the front part of my brain. And I lost eyesight. I had a temporary loss of vision. So months prior to that, I had a friend talk me into getting Aflac insurance. Because, I'm self-employed. I'm like, I'm going to make it. I'll get it when I make more money. I'll get disability insurance when I make more money. And I kept putting it off. But one thing I did do is I did listen to her, and I went and applied for Aflac, not knowing that I was going to use it. But thank God I had it, because I was out of work for about 3 to 4 months.
Oh, wow. As a full-time entrepreneur, then out of work for 3 to 4 months. So no client work, no money coming in.
And as I stated before, we don't get paid unless we do our face-to-face contact.
Yeah.
It was no teletherapy then.
Yeah.
So, there's zero money.
Wait. When you say at that time, not face to face, because face to face is now, you're talking about going into a home or
Going into the home.
Okay.
That was
so you mean in person? You didn't get paid unless you went
in person,
Okay.
face to face contact.
Yeah.
It was, you don't get paid for telephone. Now we do. Now we have things in place, but back then we didn't. So thankfully I had Aflac to carry me through. But at the same time, I mentally went through depression. I went through some anxiety because by the time I got sick, my youngest daughter had went to college.
Oh,
so
wow.
now I had two of my daughters in college. Both of them were at private colleges. And I'm trying to figure out, how am I going to keep my household bills going, my business, going, and maintain the things that they needed from me. So I was in a bit of depression.
Wow.
And developed anxiety.
And how did you, so as in the profession that you are, so you couldn't obviously counsel yourself, right? Did you seek out care? Because sometimes when people, when they're entrepreneurs and they're, go-getters, they're always going and getting, right? They're not like stopping to take care of themselves. When did you say, I need to ask somebody to help me, or I need to ask for help? When was that point for you?
I think it was during my recovery when I had to move in with my parents, by the way, too, because I couldn't see. So I had to stay with my parents. I hadn't been at home since I was 20. So not going to tell how old I am, but you know what I mean? So I'm back in my old room and my mom is fixing me breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So, it's something.
Yeah.
But it was at that point that I said, I need to talk to someone. And I have a very close friend that's a therapist. And he would call me weekly and encourage me and gave me mental health therapy. He's like, I know you're a therapist, but we friends first. And I got to tell you, you need to do X, Y, and Z. And he gave me some coping strategies and, gave me some homework to do to keep my thoughts positive and not negative. So I could focus on recovery.
That's good.
Yeah.
So now for those listening, because 0 to 3 is I don't know if that's unique in age for people to need therapy, but if parents are listening, grandparents are listening, guardians are listening, what are there signs that they should look for in the children that those ages 0 to 3, that where they may not themselves, the children, know that they need therapy, but the parents or grandparents or guardians would identify so they know to seek out your care?
Yes. They have developmental milestones. So many of you that are parents, you take your children in for what they call well baby checks. And your physician, your pediatrician, usually is the first to notice. They'll ask you a series of questions. Is he eating? Is he feeding himself? Is he able to sit up? Is he crawling? And if you say no to any of those milestone questions, those are red flags, what they consider red flags in development. One of the other big triggers is autism. They're screening children more often for autism at a younger age. If they're not saying words, if they're not talking, if they're not saying mama, if they're not babbling, that's a sign. If they don't babble, that is a sign. The behavior I teach, I specialize in behaviors, and I tell all of my clients, behavior is a form of communication. So if that's their language, if they can't talk, their behavior tells you what's going on. So if they're getting frustrated, if they're getting angry, if they're having more temper tantrums, that's because they're not able to tell you what they want. They can't communicate their wants and needs. That's a sign.
Okay.
So,
all right, wonderful. So, as you talk through, going through the process of losing your job, go through the process of depression, you started to you're now a full-time entrepreneur. What sort of, if you don't mind sharing, how did you prepare financially to, go on your own? Like, you didn't go back and say, okay, you had this situation, you were laid off, let me go back and look for a job with another employer. You're like, okay, I'm going to do this on my own. How did you arrive at that decision? And what did you do financially to prepare for that? I mean, there's grants and all this stuff available now. Maybe there were back then, but maybe not as readily available like they are right now and known to, everybody. But how did you do that? How did you make that transition financially and continue to sustain as you grow your business?
Well, I would consider the way I started bootstrapping, as what they call it. I was a bootstrapper. And that means that, you have a little bit of money here and you go flip it and you turn it. And what I did was I had a unique skill set, which was working with 0 to 3. At the time when I was working and employed, I had been promoted from case management, which was helping parents to get resources in the community, to when I finished grad school, I went into therapy. I was only in therapy maybe a month and I was promptly promoted into management. So I did development of programs. I wrote the programs that a lot of kids in, like if I saw a need in the community, I wrote a after school therapeutic program. I wrote programs. So I had a unique set of skills that I knew I had, that I had to market a certain way. So when the layoff happened, it was unexpected. I was fortunate to get a severance package. And I was also fortunate to have unemployment at the time, because this was between the recession before 2007 to 2009 era. So there were things going on with unemployment where they extended our unemployment during that time.
Okay. So you took that situation and made it and leverage and monetize the skills that you had.
Right.
And here we are today. What's the name of your business?
It's Creative Concepts Therapeutic Services.
Okay. And if people are interested in working with you, how would they find you?
We are online. We are at www.creativeconceptstherapy.com. And all of my information is on there. How to get referrals are on there. How to contact me is all on my website. I'm currently only serving in the state of North Carolina right now. But hopefully in 2023, we'll be processing to be out in other states. Like Virginia.
So when you say we, I guess I'll ask this: do you have other therapists that work for your within your business?
I have contract therapists that I have been able to add due to the grant.
Grant is free money. Grant is free money. I love grants.
So I was a solopreneur. So now I have like some part-time contract people that come in and help me work on big projects that I work on from time to time. Sometimes I may do a teaching project for a different agency and I require help. And before it was just, wah.
So that with that contract help, that I'm sure that enables you to get bigger contracts and things of that nature. Yes, that's amazing. Amazing. So tell them again, give your website one more time. Also, for those of you that are listening or watching, her website will be in the show notes. So make sure you drop down there for that, as well as the resources that I talked about, which is getting on the newsletter. So you can find out about the mini grants that I have the opportunity to receive across my desk. I shared them with my It's My Money community. So jump on that newsletter. Also, if you want a free budget sheet, you can also go to the link in the bio for that free budget sheet as well. And tell them again about your website.
Again, we are Creative Concepts Therapeutic Services, and our website is www.creativeconceptstherapy.com.
All right, Dr. Jackson, if you were listening to, or if moms are listening, dads are listening, guardians, grandparents, what is the one thing that you want to leave with them as you think about 0 to 3-year-old children?
I would tell all of my families, you are your child's biggest advocate. If you feel that your child is not developing typically like other children, no matter what is told to you, seek out a second opinion if you have to. I have had several clients where the pediatrician said, oh, nothing's wrong. And the mom said, it's just something in my gut just tells me it's something more. You are your child's biggest advocate. I say advocate, learn to advocate for your children. And I mean, we all learn that eventually in the world of parenting. We have to do it when they start school all the way through high school. So it's no different from 0 to 3.
I love it. So you heard it here from Dr. Jackson. Again, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. This is Patrina Dixon, your It's My Money lady. Come here for all personal finance topics as well as entrepreneurships. Make sure you keep it locked. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, I am at It's My Money _. That's ITSMYMONEY_ and my website, which you can find everything in addition to my Instagram. You can go to itsmymoney.info. That's itsmymoney.info. Make it a great day.